So many of you have been asking me about rent to own houses in Atlanta, and they really don't exist to tell you the truth. And let me tell you this, even if rent to own properties were available in Atlanta, I would be 1000% against rent to own. And this is why. So number one, an option fee. When you're doing rent to own or lease purchase, you have to put up money for what's called an option fee, which is basically saying you have first right to refusal, which is another way of saying, hey, if you decide to sell this house, I get first dibs at it. And since you're signing an option, you have the option to either continue to rent it out, move on to another place, or buy it. You lock it in at the price. So if you were to buy a house for about, let's say if it was worth 175 at that current moment in time in 2020, that means in 2023, if the house is now worth $225,000 and you signed a contract paying an option fee to buy it at 175, you would buy it at 175 no matter what it's worth. But if the market went down, right, and in 2023 it was worth $10,000, then your option is at 175 and you had the option to buy it at 175. But so usually I see an option fee range between $3,000 and $10,000. And on top of that, you will have to pay rent. And with most landlords, most owners of the property, when you pay rent, that does not go towards building equity in home. So that's another way of saying if you want to buy it for 175 and you pay rent for 3 years, when you go to buy it, you wouldn't add the rent, you wouldn't subtract the total amount of rent that you paid from the purchase price. So like 175 minus, let's say you paid $30,000 of rent, you wouldn't be able to pay $145,000 just because you paid $30,000 in rent. Rent doesn't go towards equity. In some cases it does with certain landlords, but with most of them, the vast majority, meaning 90%, rent doesn't go towards equity. So basically you're just throwing money in the garbage. Number three, you have to get a down payment for a whole nother loan. So on top of paying your option fee, which ranges between $3,000 and $10,000, and on top of paying rent over the years that you're in the property, you also have to save up for a down payment, which in most cases might be equivalent to what you pay right here, the option fee. Shit. So it's like paying for a whole nother house. If you're following me, because you got to pay another $3,000 to $10,000, right? And then you got to pay another down payment. On top of that, you have to pay closing costs, right? And then you got to pay for an inspection, and you got to pay for an appraisal, but you might not have to pay for an inspection since you've been living in a home. But let's say you paid an option fee. Let's say you paid of an option fee around $5,000. So you came to the landlord and said, I want to do lease to purchase, rent to own. You give him the money up front that allows you to lock in that price. So later on, you'll be able to be the first one to buy the house at the price that you agreed upon. And then let's say you went to get a loan after those 3 years. So let's say you want to buy the house at $150,000, right? Your down payment would be $5,200. So that $5,000 that you put here plus the $5,200 that you put here, that would be around like $10,250. So just to give you an idea, you can probably go buy a house for about $300,000. Yeah, that's about right. So if you want to go get a FHA loan, which is the most popular option regarding loans when going to buying a house, 3.5% down. I'm just doing the math off the top of my head, but if you were to go and try to buy a $300,000 house from 3.5% down, your down payment will be somewhere around $3,000. So the amount of money that you paid in total to get a house, a lease option house for $150,000, you could have took that same amount of money and bought a house for $300,000. That's why I'm against rent to own. It's more expensive than just flat out buying a house. I think it's BS. I tell everybody don't do it. And just to give you an idea, if you want to do it in Atlanta is a market where they can just rent the house out for the maximum amount of rent, or they can just sell it. Rent to own is not going to work in Atlanta. There is damn near non-existent. It might be like 5 or 6 houses available for rent to own. Usually rent to own is popular in markets where people are leaving the state. So the state's population is going down. Real estate market is not very hot. Houses go up for sale. They tend to sit, and they don't sell for the highest amount of money. So that's why I'm against rent to own. If you guys have any more questions, DM me or leave it in the comment section below.